bridge behind me is spectacular. Actually, there are two spans, one a little farther to the north over Canoe Pass, and this one over Deception Pass. The north is Fidalgo Island. In the center, you can see Pass Island, and I'm standing on Whidbey Island to the south. This bridge was built in less than a year, and it was dedicated in 1935. There's nearly 1,600 tons of steel for the span. The cost of the original construction was $482,000. That's just 20% more than the median home cost in this county right now. The bridge is over 80 years old. It's been repainted twice, still serving its purpose. It supports 2 lanes of traffic, one in each direction. There's a 3-foot pedestrian walkway on each side. On average, across the top of this bridge, 20,000 vehicles a day, more than 7 million each year. Now, this 80-year-old bridge was built by principles of engineering. The builders didn't guess how much steel was needed. Engineers calculated the exact amount based on principles. The workers didn't organize the steel in random shapes and sizes. Engineers calculated the exact lengths and placement of each girder based on principles. So this bridge still stands because it was built on principles. Now, my friend Andy Gleason, he's a structural engineer. He filled me in on some of these principles. Bridges are designed according to loads, and these loads include the load of the bridge itself, the load of the vehicles passing, stopping, or even crashing on it. Engineers have to consider these loads in addition to the winds and storms, even earthquakes. When calculating load, engineers also allow that the bridge will load and unload multiple times a day, and that could fatigue the steel. So they design with that in mind. Now, there are other principles to consider in designing a bridge, but I think you get the point. I'm not out to bore you. In fact, not only are bridge principles accurate now, they've been true for years. Successful bridges are built on these same principles regardless of the era in which they were built. Now, the average person likely doesn't consider these principles each time she uses this bridge to and from work. To the average Jane citizen, this is just a huge collection of materials used to meet her needs. And for most people, even if they did know the principles that keep this bridge aloft, they would not be able to use those same principles to build other bridges or to build other structures. So, not knowing the principles or not knowing how to use them doesn't make the principles any less true or valuable. The principles are effective even when people don't know them, even if they don't know how to use them. But if a bridge is going to be built and built to endure, then it's going to be built on those principles. In the word of the Lord, we discover promises, precepts, and power as already discussed. We also find principles. The Bible contains principles for Christian living that span centuries and continents. Victorious disciples can depend on these principles again and again in location after location. And while the principles need to be studied and they need to be practically applied, when we do this, our lives are built to last because the Lord's principles are eternal principles. Engineering principles have carried this beautiful bridge for 80 years and counting. Now, it's easy to believe that the Lord's eternal principles will carry our lives for 80 years and more. In fact, the Lord's principles, they'll carry us to heaven. And on that conviction, victorious disciples surrender their lives to the Lord's principles. How about you? Have you considered the Lord's principles? Are you using them to joyfully build a victorious life? I certainly hope that you are.